Hello, everyone. Bruno here, part of the Cloud Advocate team, and I'm with my friend Ola. Hey, Ola, how are you?
I'm good. It's a good weather today. I'm really feeling great and super happy to be right here on this, this program, and of course meeting Bruno too.
Oh, yes. And hey, we have a super cool topic today to talk. Let me switch our slides. There they are. And we are going to do some AI in .NET. And we are going to see a little of Aspire also there. But before we start, we just talk about ourselves. If you want to contact me, you can find me in any social network, usually at El Bruno. You can see here in Twitter or X or LinkedIn or more. Feel free to contact me. And hey, Ola, do you want to tell people where they can find you and a little more about yourself, please?
Yeah, I've kept it simple. Also, you can find me and locate me on all social media platforms using the tag DOUBOKE. I'm a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. I'm currently a master's student at the University of Arkansas Little Rock in the US. I'm studying business information systems and analytics. I'm proficient in Python, and it is really exciting because I want to see what Bruno is up to here today. I have interest in .NET, and I've done maybe some basic, project there, but I really want to see how AI and everything fit into the use case is going to present today, because I'm ready to learn.
Hey, that's amazing. And hey, you're going to see me watching here and here from time to time. I have my notes there, and I want to make it rock. I think we have something amazing here. And by the way, we don't have a lot of slides. I just have one to basically talk and show.
That's good news, because
yes, we want to see
more demo, right?
Yes, we want to see code, and I want to show code. But before we start, if we record this last year, this slide will be very, very different, because right now we have access to so many AI stuff, AI models, a couple of open source models, foundational models, big models like the latest GPT, and models that you can run in your machine. And hey, this is amazing because it's moved from where we were a year ago learning and testing to basically a stage that we have a full kind of a life cycle about this. And I know that we have a lot of stuff here, but you mentioned that you did some Python. Have you played around before this with any of these models or any of these AI technologies?
Interestingly, quite a lot has changed over the years. I'm looking at this now, I'm like, wow, so much has changed. And I've played with a couple of them. For example, I've used Hugging Face, family model in the past, with Python. Basically, when we are analyzing data and doing some sentiment analysis, you can extract using some Hugging Face AI model. And Azure OpenAI, I love Azure OpenAI. And as a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, I have access to also consume and build with these things. Yes, I have a startup that I'm working on, and I'm definitely consuming Azure OpenAI in my project.
Yes, fun fact there. I think it was not so long ago where Hugging Face, they go over the million models that they have available to the public. So if someone wants to start, also huggingface.co is a great place. The biggest repository of models that we have. And in Azure AI, we have over 1,000. It's close to 2,000. I don't know the right numbers, but it's amazing because, yes, the main difference that we have there is that the models that we have in AI Studio, there is a team that basically curates the models, validate the models, and we have tools on top of the models and more. But let's switch to our code. Let's switch to our today demo. And today, it's very simple. I have a very simple two-tier application, a front end with a list of products and a search of products, and a backend with API to get products, to search products, and more. And the whole idea is that let's start to add some AI on top of this. So as I said, literally no more slides. Let's switch to the code. But we have a bonus here. Why we have a bonus? If you ask, oh my God, why are we watching
that's my question.
Camera traffic, whatever. This is something that a friend of us of the AI and .NET channel shared with us a couple of weeks ago. And this is a live streaming of cameras in Tenerife. Tenerife is one Spanish island in the middle of, I can't remember where they are, but this is an amazing place. I've been there a couple of times. And he created a solution. Let me show you where is the solution. He created this solution where he basically used AI to analyze the traffic of the cameras. And let me refresh this to see if we have the latest stuff. And you can see in each one of the cameras, very simple here. If you have a green, that's a good to go, no traffic. Of course, red is traffic. And this is low traffic or something like this. But he created this because he wanted to see if we can do it, and also to see when is the best time to go to the office, driving there and more. So this is something that I want to go and talk later. And this is the full solution that we have for that. We have plenty of projects. There are so many things here. The whole idea of today is start with something simple, and then later, if we get here and we give an overview of this, I will hope that you all have said to me, oh yes, now I understand this, because if we start from scratch here, it's going to be a mess. Does this make sense? Do you like the plan?
Perfect. And I'm happy because you kind of understand me, and not just me. Many other people out there who have similar interests like this. Let's see what it is, but let's start from the simple and let's build on top of it. I love your approach, and I'm really ready for this session.
Perfect. So we are going to start, as I said, with a very simple front-end, back-end solution. This is a backend that has an API of products that you can search products, add products, get details of products. And we have a front end, which is a Blazor, it's front end technology that will show this. When I run this project, let's see, this is always a lottery. Which monitor is going to open? Oh, there it is. So it's run the two projects at the same time. We have here the backend, as you can see, it's a JSON response with all of the products that we have. And also in the front end, let me zoom this out. We have this very simple solution with a list of products in a very simple way. This is camping products, solar, hiking poles, survival kits, and more. And we have a search. And the whole idea is that, hey, if I search for solar, in example, I am going to search and get the products that basically the name match my criteria, my search criteria. So I search for solar, I have solar. If I search for, I think if I go for outdoor, I have two products with outdoor, there it is. So this is a standard search. This is a keyword search. Select all the products that the name includes the word outdoor or something like this. But if I do something like I want to search with a more natural questions like, hey, give me something for rainy days, we are not going to have that yet. That's the idea for today. Try to add this.
Yeah, Bruno, sorry, just to add this quickly. Search is a quest, and every human have this quest always. And most of the best form is to have something that understands you and follow you, rather than you going after, a computer to understand you. If computer understands you, is way better. And I think that is what we are trying to do here. I want something for rainy days. I don't care what the name is called, and that is exactly what you're doing there. This is amazing.
Yes, that's the idea. And by the way, sometimes when we present this, we go directly and we show the final implementation. And the final implementation can be something like we have here in Azure AI Studio, which is our main platform to do AI. And here I have a GPT 3.5 model connected to an index of products. And when I ask a question, suggest something for rainy day, I will have a response pointing to a trail light day pack with two reference for products. Hey, we are lucky that if we want to do Azure, if we want to use Azure AI Studio, we can validate how the models work, how we can connect them with data and more. If I remove the data, in example here, let me copy the question. If I remove the data, remove data source, yes, do not show this again. And clear the chat. And ask the question again. Of course, the answer will be a generic one. Will be, hey, we have a model. This is, by the way, this is a GPT 3.5. We can use a GPT-4, GPT-4o more. But yes, in a rainy day, you need read a book or a movie or watch a movie, try a new indoor hobby. It's a general one. The whole idea today is to use a model like GPT-4o, use an embedding model. We are going to talk about this later, to connect everything and then add it into our solution. And because doing that from scratch, it will be kind of tricky. We are going to use a set of libraries that basically is going to help us to do this. And those libraries, in the .NET world, we have different options. I am going to use Semantic Kernel. Semantic Kernel is a library, it's an open source project that we have that currently supports .NET, JavaScript. I'm sorry, .NET, Java, and Python. I don't remember if they have JavaScript yet or not, but it's kind of a layer on top of a lot of AI and search and a lot of services that makes our life easier. Have you played with Semantic Kernel? Have you heard about Semantic Kernel?
Yeah, I have heard about semantic search and the kind of, for example, the Azure, AI search also uses the index, the semantics, search, but the kernel part, no. But right here now, I'm happy because I'm learning about it. And of course, I will check after this session more about it, especially implementation in .NET and Python.
Yes, and super cool. So what I am doing here, it's basically on the backend projects, on the product projects that currently have a couple of dependencies. I add now Semantic Kernel. So we have Semantic Kernel. We have a memory dependency because we are going to, in this demo, we are going to load a vector database with the products in memory. We can do this with Quadrant. We can do this with Azure AI Search, but in memory, 10 products make sense. So the first step will be to add this package. Then my project, the backend project, it's basically a backend element where we can do stuff working with the data context. So I'm going to add my memory context. I am going to add a couple of things here. But first of all, let's take a look at the search. I have here all of the endpoints from my web service. I can get a product that is going to do the list of products, the get all products. I can find the product, basically search for one. And somewhere here in the bottom should be my search. Let's stop there. And the search is basically doing a very simple query using Entity Framework, which is a library in .NET to basically help us to work with data. And this is basically saying, hey, in the list of products that we have in the product database, please find the products that what we've seen before. You have a search where the name likes the search criteria. So this is very simple, but we want to do this with AI.
Exactly.
So, yes. So in order to do this, I created a new endpoint, a search endpoint that is going to use the product, the data that we have, the data context, but it's also going to use a memory context. And then with the memory, it's going to perform the data. Because we don't have a lot of time, I usually like to code this from scratch, but this is going to take a long time. I have already here the memory class. Let me include the class in the project. And let's take a look at the memory. So the memory class use a lot of semantic kernel. We can see there that use a lot of semantic kernel. And then we have at the beginning a couple of things. So we are going to do two main activities here. First, we are going to create a chat service using an Azure OpenAI service that we already have created. I think in the configuration I have here a GPT-4o mini, but important. And if we have time, we are going to see it later. You can do this using local models. You can download Llama 3.2 or 3.5, run with Llama, and you can run this literally locally, which is kind of nice because we talk about the ecosystem of the models at the beginning, and sometimes I like a flow when I test local. I test and I do my initial prototype using local models. And when I am ready to go to production, I switch to the big guns. I switch to GPT-4o mini and I go to Azure and I scale and more. But working locally, it's a super, super good option here. Have you played around with local models?
Yeah, I've tried a few lower parameter for Llama before, and it was pretty interesting to work with it. But one thing I want to call out for you here is you are doing a great job simplifying this concept and making it really easy to follow through. I like the structure. I like how you have, really planned this out, especially the implementation of the search, of the chat completion, even the semantic memory. It's, for me, who doesn't have this extensive experience, it's easier for me to see, hey, I've seen what Bruno did. I can implement this in order of my project, and I will definitely follow through after this video.
Hey, let's put a pin on that and let's review that feeling at the end of the session to see if we didn't get a lot of complicated stuff. But no, I appreciate your feedback. And this is kind of a always like to try to think of these things, how I like to learn. So when we were learning this, someone explained this in also easy way. So I also try to explain this, what I think in an easy way to understand. And as I said, right now, what we have in order to do the semantic search, we just need a chat service that we are going to do against Azure OpenAI with the GPT-4o mini model. And we also need the memory builder to create the vector memory database. Why? Because when we do the semantic search, we can't do the semantic search against standard databases. Standard database doesn't have yet, a lot of them are Cosmos DB, and others are implementing the semantic search, doesn't have this functionality. So what we are going to do, we are going to use another model, the ABI 002 or 003, I can't remember which one I am using here, to basically create embeddings, which are a vector representation of the data that we have, so we can later ask this question. But that's it. We want the chat to conversate with the user, and we also want an embedding to create a database in memory. Once we have this, the field product, I think, is no surprises here. This is a loop where for each one of the products that we have in the database, we are going to load the product in the memory database here with the info of the product, with the ID and more. So this is kind of an easy way to do this. And of course, if you run this in production, you need to implement some trigger mechanisms.
How are we saving it in the memory?
Yes, I'm doing it in memory because it's easy. If we have time, we can just change the implementation in example, and instead of doing in memory, we can store everything in Azure AI Search, and literally the same code we will run with a huge backend. But the idea is basically, let's iterate to the product and let's save them in a vector database. And of course, if someone change one of the price, the title or something in the original database, we need to re-index the products and more. There are different strategies there. But right now, what we are going to have is the original database and the semantic and the vector database to do the semantic search. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. And the search. So we have the initialize the services, create the vector database, and then when we do a search, we basically going to say, hey, memory, perform a search using the criteria that the user added when you are typing in the front end. And here, oh my God, I zoomed this in a bad way. And also, this is important. We are going to validate for relevance, because when we are working with vector databases, and we ask an example, search for products to use in a rainy day, we are going to have results that are going to come there. But for each one of the results, we are also going to have information. And in this scenario, it's called the relevance. It's a value between 0 and 1 or 0 and 100. Think about this. And in this scenario, I am going to say, hey, give me the element that if only valid is going to be valid only if the relevance is bigger than 60%. Or this is something that as a developer, we need to fine-tune and adjust here and start to figure out, okay, I have this information in vector format. When I start to interact with information, I realize that my relevance is very good. So I am always going to work with 80% or more. Or in the other side, oh my God, the information is not very good. Should I use a different embeddings model? Should I work with a lower relevant threshold here and there? So the relevant is something that is specific for this scenario because, yes, we are searching, but at the same time, we want to validate that the results that we have are kind of good. And I'm quoting good. And after that, it's very simple. I have the relevance, I have the results here, and because I have one element, I am going to get that element from the original database, and I am going to return that to the user. So that's basically it. This is the only thing that we need to do to make this work. Of course, in the main program, I need to do a couple of housekeeping services and stuff, like I need to initialize the memory context, and somewhere here, it needs the memory. That's it. And remember that we create a new endpoint. We have a search that do the search in keyword search. So I need to go to the front end. This is my front end product. And somewhere here also, I have the original search, which is the one not commented and the top one, which is the one that we want to use now. So I am going to uncomment this, comment that, and I think I have everything here. Let's compile to see if I didn't forget everything else. Oh, okay, no, I forget missing. Okay, I using here. This is what we have. So this is, that this is live coding. I need to add the reference here. And now we can test the project. So we test it. What do you think? Is it going to work? Let's go for it.
Yes.
Perfect. So run the project again. We still have the product here. Let's go to search and let's search for solar like before.
Yes.
And when we run this, the response is different. Right now we have this text saying the product solar power flashlight fits the search criteria with an 82% of the relevance, and we have the product. But the important part is if we search for something for rainy days, and we do the search, we are going to have an outdoor rain jacket here. And literally, we have rain. If I do something to, I don't know, to cook at night, in example, and I do a search, I am going to have a camping cookware.
Let's look for something for camping.
Something for camping. Okay, that's a super general one. Something for camping. And hey, there it is. We have a camping.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm sorry, this is my Latin roots here. If I do something in Spanish, like an example, algo para alumbrar de noche, this is something to light at night, and I do a search, it's going to give me a solar flashlight. Why? These models, and can be a very, very long conversation, but these models work very, very good with different languages. They work great with popular languages, like, of course, English, because most of the info that they were training is probably in English, but Spanish, French, German, Japanese, and more, they are getting better and better. So right now, out of the box, we literally add multi-language search capabilities.
Wow. So
without
let me
quickly
chip this in. Repeatedly, I have been frustrated searching for something online, on e-commerce site, and I could not describe or put the name there, but I know what I want. And I will share what I want, what it can do. I've typed it repeatedly on different e-commerce sites, and I could not see that result that I want simply because maybe things like this have not been implemented. If you implement something like this, you are not just solving problem with search. You are truly meeting customers' needs timely. Because this is what I want. You are not giving me irrelevant product. You are giving me exactly what meet my needs. This is an amazing use case for AI. I love this.
Yes, and as you've seen, the code is not very complicated. It's basically create or use a vector database. In .NET we support Quadrant, Pinecone, Azure AI Search, and more. They are all there. Choose your vector database and use a platform like Semantic Kernel or Microsoft Extension for AI or one of the frameworks that we have there, and connect the dots, and you have a lot of value here out of the box. Like an example we see with multi-language. But there is a huge problem right now that I have here. This is a very simple code. And this is basically exposing the model to everyone. So if I go here and I say, create Python, because you said that you would type Python code to solve 2 + 2, and I do search,
no way.
I will have my model helping me to basically set numbers, num1 and 2, num2, calculate the sum results. It's going to start to do things that I don't want my model to do. I want the model right now only work with camping products. And by the way, we've seen this. I don't know if you've seen this. I've seen a couple of scenarios where companies created a chatbot or created some kind of AI integrated experience, and they don't limit the boundaries. They don't define the boundaries of what the model can do. And you can start to do things like this or say something, hey, my name is Bruno. Who are you? And I can start to ask this question that literally have no relevance with the camping product.
Exactly.
And I am an AI developed by OpenAI here. We don't want our model to do this. We want our model to be nice, of course, but we also want to put some boundaries because we connected our model with data, so we only want to model to work with data. So how we can do this? There are several ways we do this. I am going to show one. So at the beginning, when we create a chat history, we are going to define what is called a system message. And a system message is kind of a global message that is going to be embedded when we interact with the model, that is going to define,
like the instruction that is guiding the operations, the length and the breadth of what you should do, the do and don't, right?
Yes. And here the model that we have is, hey, you only answer questions related to camping product. If you as a model ask about something else, you say, I don't know that. And also you reply in a short and funny message because we want to have something here. But this is literally one of the things that we can and we should do when we do this, because again, we want our model to work in this specific scenario. And by the way, if you take a look, we have tons of samples in repos about how to define a good system message, how to add security on top of that, and more. And literally adding this system message to the chat history, to the history where we define how the model is going to be. Yes. Let me start this. Okay, started in this monitor this time. Started every time in a different monitor. If I go here and say, my name is Bruno, who are you? Is going to say something. I only answer questions about other camping products, but I'm your friendly camping product expert. What is your camping question? So we put a boundary. What do you think about that? This is an easy way to...
This looks really automagic for me because I can see the responsible aspect of that solution. It's more ethical now because you have covered what it's supposed to do. Other people cannot just use it for something else, And I must mention this. Recently, a popular e-commerce site where I am here integrated a new chatbot that helps people to shop better. I tell you, what you just done now happened on that chatbot, on that app. You put in, write me a Python code that can do this. The chatbot that should be answering that question literally throw up questions, answers relating to Python, relating to all those things. So I was shocked when you showcased this to me and you went into add this system message, which literally solved this problem. That became a global challenge that was broadcasted, was dragged on Twitter and somewhere else. I'm so happy because there's also a way to implement and easily control this. And sharing this with me is so awesome. I would have gone ahead and implement without understanding how important the system message is in controlling and defining the boundary and the limit and making your solution truly responsible and ethical for the purpose it was built for. Thank you for this.
Yes, and you mentioned something that is important. This is one of the mechanisms that we always suggest also to basically be compliant with the responsible AI guidelines that we have, because we know that these models are very powerful and they can be used in a good way. So we want to help everyone to use them in a good way. There are more tools. We don't have time today to go in Azure AI Studio, like the content filter and more, to focus on this, because these models are amazing and we really want to help everybody to get the best of the models. And talking about the best of the models, this is kind of a nice example, but we have a GPT-4o model here. And having the answer, that crappy answer that said, hey, the product ABC fits you with your criteria, we can do better. We can literally do better.
Okay, let's do better.
So before returning the response to the client, we are going to use a prompt that is going to say, hey, you know what? You are intelligent assistant helping the Contoso client, yada, yada, yada. Generate a catchy and friendly message using the following information. And I am going to pass to the prompt the search criteria. I am going to pass the name of the product, and then I am going to set to the model that it should include the product information in the response to the user. With that, I am going to ask the chat service to create a response, and let's use that response in the front end. So let's run this, and let's ask again whenever it's going to open. There it is in this one now. let's ask the question, something for rainy days. Yes. And when we do the search, now the response that we have, it's kind of a nicer one. You said, hey, you got a rainy dilemma. Fair enough. The outdoor raining jacket, it's here to save you from looking like a soggy sandwich and more. Okay, I like it. I like the response.
You know how I'm feeling, Bruno? I'm feeling that I have a companion.
Yes. And we can improve the companion. I can go here and say, you know what? Include also the product description in the responses. So, and also improve the product information and description in the response user question. Let's see if my hot reload haven't been working well lately. So let's go here. And if I search for something for rainy days, it's basically say will keep you warm and dry. And we have keep you warm and dry. So it includes the description. And if I want to include also the price, in example, let's do the price in the message.
Wow.
The product information, price and description. Let's hot reload this one again. Get back here. Refresh the search and search something for rainy days. Now we are going to have, there it is. We also include the price. Wow. So we are improving our prompt. As you mentioned, this can be a companion. It can really, really help us. But you know what? I don't like this developer workflow. I don't like to go here, change my prompt and do a lot of stuff here. I really like to basically, we have tools that basically help us to do this in a better way. One of the tools that we have,
I'm looking forward to a better way of doing this.
Wow. Yes, one of the tools that we have, there it is, it's called Prompty. And Prompty is an extension for Visual Studio Code. Let me search it. There it is. It's a free extension. Hey, I'm missing the Y. It's a free extension that we have for Visual Studio Code. And basically, what it's going to allow us to do is to create a file, which is going to have Prompty extension. And then we are going to be able to basically work with our prompt, to fine-tune our prompt, make tests and more until we have a good prompt. So what I'm going to do here, this is literally our project. And I have here this Prompty file. And this file has, let me close it here.
Okay.
Has this information. First of all, we are going to define a model because we want to test the prompt. So I am going to use, in my endpoint here, I have several options here. I can work with the GPT 3.5, with the GPT-4o mini, and more. Then I'm going to add some sample. I only add one, but I can add some sample. When we add samples in order to make a prompt, we are doing something that is called a few-shot learning. We are asking a question to a model, passing the question, but also passing some samples of how we can solve the question, and the model is better there. So I will say, hey, what do you suggest for a rainy day in the beach with the product ID, product name, product description, and I will have a response somewhere here. So this is what the model is going to expect. In Prompty, I will also say, I will define the system context. Remember that we have a system context, system prompt before, and I will have here the information, the context that we have. And I have the product ID, the name, the description, and price. So I can run this directly in Visual Studio Code. Oh, I didn't find the model. No problems. Let me minimize this a little. I will open the other one, this one. I should probably miss one of the elements here. There it is. Somehow we didn't handle this the first time. But if I go here, I will have the answer here. So we'll say, hey, calling the Prompty file using this endpoint, and I have the response. And I can start to play around with the prompt directly here. And I can say something like, an example, incorporate the question if provider, always incorporate the product price, the product name, description, and price in the response. So I can run my prompt again. And there it is, somewhere here. It's a very long prompt. I should probably say, make it shorter, but we have the price here and something else. And hey, I can play with my prompt whenever I want. Instead of starting my application, go to the front end, make some changes, go to the code, I can do my prompt here. And what I like about this is that at the end, I can say with the Prompty file, add semantic kernel code, add land change, add prompt flow. Wow. There are different integrations. So I can basically use Prompty almost everywhere. That's why I have here the Prompty file. This is the same file that we've seen before.
Yes.
And what I am going to do is let me copy here because I have here my code. I am going to remove this improve that we added before, and let's improve the response message in a very similar way where we are going to define an array of arguments with the product ID, name, description, and more. And then we are going to say, hey, create the Prompty file function and then invoke the function. So this is literally what we've seen before running here in a very easy way.
Now, so my question to you is, will the Promptify prompt, will it be the same every time this is running, or is going to be different?
Yes, it's going to be the same. And that's a great question. When we were talking with other people in the .NET team and other clients that are using this, I think there are already public somewhere in the blog or in the Microsoft Learn strategies where you can basically have a cache of the Prompty file so you don't have to do it again and again. Semantic kernel also can import functions and leave the functions in memory, so you don't need to load it again and again. But yes, it's always the same file, and we advise for production scenarios that there is a lot of stuff that we can do here to do better, like cache, tracing, logging, and more, which is basically what we are going to see right now. But hey, what do you think so far? Does this make sense?
100%. Because, we started from really simple, like you mentioned. It is not complex, but it's more functional. And that's the goal. How can we leverage AI to make this serve more purpose, become more better, up to the point of even building a companion? And I mean it when I say companion, because when I'm searching and I'm getting results, it's just like a one-way communication. But when I have this kind of engagement, this kind of text, returning back to me, trying to, describe the scenario that I'm in, and also making sure that, hey, I know your needs, and that is why I'm recommending this for you that meets your needs. That's more awesome.
Yes, and hey, the next step here will be, once we add everything that we talk about AI, an example, which is very simple, semantic search, but this is also a very powerful one, is I will advise, like you mentioned before, okay, how do I trace this? How do I add some cache here and there? How do I orchestrate this? And this is where .NET Aspire come here to help. .NET Aspire is a set of libraries, it's a framework that we have, which basically help us to do and develop solutions in a good way. Wow. So the whole idea that I have right now is this is the same project, the same solution that we had before, where we have the back end and the front end. And then we have two more projects. We have an Aspire host, which is kind of the main orchestrator. And then we have a service default. We have a lot of functionalities here and there. But the host is going to define this code.
Just to say, hey, you know what? Cutting here, Bruno. Okay, what you're describing now, do you mean completely operationalizing this project and making it scalable? Is that what this is trying to do for us?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and the idea is that when we do Aspire, we are going to see that we have out of the box a lot of functionalities like traceability and more, which will really, really help when we are doing AI solutions. Yes. Like an example, we have a product that is going to be added to the builder pipeline. Then we add a store that is going to be added to the builder pipeline. The store will have a reference to the products. So we start to say, hey, these two are connected. These two are connected via HTTP. So now they know how to connect to each other. I am using OpenAI services in just one part. If I use OpenAI services in more parts, what I can do is I can define a general component or service here in Aspire, and then I can start to use it all around. And when I run this project with Aspire, this is what we are going to have. We are going to have this dashboard where we are going to see that we have the project store, the backend, I can click on the back end, and by default, it gives me the list of products. I am going to see the front end, where I'm going to see the same functionality. I have the list of products, and I have search, something for rainy days. I always do this because it's the first one in my autocomplete. But it's going to run and do everything, and I have this. But what I like about this is here, I can go and start to see traces in the console. So I can go to the products backend and I start to see, oh my God, this is all of the logs in the console where we even have the queries that we are performing against the database. And we can go to the traces and we can start to see, in example, this one, where let's take a look, the detailed one, this one, where we see that the front end call the back end, and the back end called twice the Azure services. And why? Let's take a look at the first service. So the first service is the embeddings one, because when we do a query, the text that we add in the search is something for rainy days, need to be converted to an embedding. So internally, it's converting that text to a vector. Once it performs the query in memory and return all of the values, the next step will be to use our Prompty to generate a cool prompt. So this call, the second call, is a call for the GPT-4o mini project. So where we are creating the one. So we can start to see here in Aspire tons of stuff, literally tons of stuff that are making our life easier, are making our life as a developer easier. I can start to see traces, logs, console, and more. And by the way, even if we are doing Aspire with .NET, you can even use some pieces of Aspire with other programming languages. What do you think about this?
You mean I can use with other programming languages?
Yes. The whole idea to have Aspire, there are so many things in Aspire, but we have the orchestration, we have the dashboard, we have traces, logging, we can monitorize, we can even deploy with Aspire. It's a whole different story. But yes, you can use it with other products if you want, with other languages if you want.
What you just showed me helps me understand the concept of explainability better, because initially we're working on something, we're building something useful, helpful, but there's less of what we can explain around what is happening, and we can trace and we can monitor. But superimposing Aspire on top of it right now just shows how really explainable your solution becomes. With this dashboard now, you see much more into what is going. You check many things. You can provide more information and explain better. And I think we shouldn't build this solution without having good explanation for activities and things that are happening around them. And this is a good way for developer to truly have this oversight as to, this is what is happening around the solution. This is how long it's running. It has closed now. This is the number. For example, this right here is amazing. I see how the embedding, is done now, and I see how it's also calling GPT-4o just to retrieve and for the Prompty. This is amazing.
Yes. So with all of this this is probably going to be the last 5 minutes or more. I am going to go back to the TrafficJamAnalyzer. Remember that we started here with all of the cameras and the solution.
Yes.
So my friend Emiliano, what he has in mind, it's basically, he created a solution in Aspire, and this is the Aspire code of the solution. So let me zoom this a little. So we start adding a database. So Aspire will manage and provision a SQL database here. And then he created a couple of services. He creates an API service, an AI service, because he picks each one of the frames of the cameras, and using AI analyze the frame. He created also a scrap service, which is the one that go to the whole camera website and pick all of the camera frames. A worker service, which is literally a worker running, I think it's every minute or every 5 minutes, to get the camera state, analyze and save this. And somewhere here is also going to be the front end, which is the one. All of these have the reference between each other. So the front end knows how to call the scrap service and the API server. The worker use everything here, use the API, the AI, the scrap.
Scrap service.
If we take a look at the AI in example, it's very simple. this is what we've seen before, but using images here. So he's going to create a chat service using a GPT-4o model. One interesting thing about the GPT-4 models, the GPT-4o models, is that they also support images. So you can text an image and send images, and they're going to analyze the images and describe. So he's going to create a chat service using the GPT-4, and he gets an endpoint /analyze/identifier where he's going to basically use this prompt. Say, I am going to show you an image that has a CCTV that shows a road, and I need you to give me a JSON object with 3 elements: title, traffic, and date. And the title is going to be, if we go back here to the cameras, the title is going to come from the top left part of the image. The date is going to come from the bottom right corner with the date. And the traffic, that's the magic part. The model will be smart enough to analyze the traffic here. Wow. So he defined this in the prompt and then create a collection of items where he's going to send to he's going to send to the chat the prompt and the URL of the image. Remember when he did the scrap, he picked all of the passes here. Yes. And then that's it. This is going to say, hey, chat, process this. And with this, let's put a breakpoint here. We are going to have the information in JSON format. And by the way, there is more pieces here because he has a front end in Blazor. They also have the scrapper, which basically open everything. But hey, this is a huge, this is a bigger aspire. Yes. But at the same time, what we have here are the different services: AI, API, Scrap, front end. So
Walker, we see database. Wow.
Yes, if we open the front end and we start to see the cameras, this is the cameras that we have. We can take a look at the latest photo of the camera here that it is. I see that the project stopped here, so it performed the analysis, and I have here my content with the JSON file, with the title of the camera, a value between 0 and 100. I think 100 is bad. It's a lot of traffic.
There's no traffic right now. Yeah.
Yes. And I have here the date. We can even check. Let me see if we can check the image, URL. So let's open the image to have an idea of what we have. And let me remove this and keep this working. Otherwise, we are going to start to have a lot of timeout issues. But if I open this camera.
Wow.
Okay, so this is no traffic or low traffic.
Yes.
By the way, if night, back in Tenerife right now, it's 7 p.m. But we have everything here. And if I go back here and refresh this, I will start to see the status, everything here. And of course, if I go here to the console, to the AI service, I am going to start to see the full prompt that we sent for the image, and even the content that we receive from there.
Yes.
So,
quick question.
Yes.
This prompt, is there any way to manage and also probably monitor and observe any anomalies in the prompt,
Yes, we talk about that. We talk about a couple of improvements to the solution for the next step. The first one will be once we start to have an historical set of data of the cameras, if we start to save this that we have right now, everything is stored in Docker. This is the database that we have created 2 minutes ago. So there it is, my Docker, my SQL server in Docker. So we can quickly create, a prediction model that is going to detect anomalies, or we can do prediction. I can ask questions like an example. How busy is this camera, the 3M TV14, on Wednesday night? And we can have someone asking question and doing the prediction there. And at the same time, and this is the tricky part, I should be able to improve my prompt. The prompt right now is very simple. I mean, it's not very simple, but we can do better in the prompt. I have the feeling that we can, improve a couple of things, but it works.
Prompty can help.
Prompty can help here, yes, but it works. Right now it works. And an example, I just realized that we have a typo there. It should be a mount. We miss an N there. Hey, non-English speaker. I understand, my friends. And we have this, but what the whole idea right now is to show that, hey, we have this. If we go here to the traces, we are going to say, oh, we have a couple of worker errors I like about this Aspire. What's happening here? Why we have an error? Probably because I have an endpoint. I have a breakpoint. And the service was trying to process, and I stopped in there showing the code. But we can see everything here. And by the way, I think this error is not for the endpoint. I think we get to the point that, yes, there it is. I am using a lot my Azure AI, my Azure OpenAI model. So saying that, hey, in this sample scenario that you have, please wait every 2 seconds to make requests, because it's literally hitting super fast right now to get the information from the cameras. So I should probably put something here or request more quota. But you know what? Everything is here. I can start from here, make a couple of clicks, take a look, and get everything out of the box.
It's easier to debug and find issues.
Yes, everything in a very simple way. And this is the high-level overview of everything that we have.
Wow.
So before we close, what do you think about this?
To be very honest, first, my first thought is first a traditional .NET project. The flexibility, it's easier than before to incorporate AI into existing .NET project, like we started with. We could see how much enhancement this brought into the solution. First, we were doing the normal search. It could not understand us. We are trying to understand the way it searched. And leveraging AI now, we saw how easy it becomes for it to understand us. And we see how we can fine-tune and the kind of flexibility and power we have. We could even determine the threshold, in terms of relevance. How relevant should this be? So whenever you are meeting my needs, see how Aspire superimpose, make it easier to truly, build something more scalable and operationalize the solution. To be very honest, there's no best time to be a .NET developer with AI than now. Because I'm like, hey, I think this is the right time now for me to truly learn these things. The tools that are available, the Prompty, you just showed me that it is possible. Because the resources are there, the tools are there. I do not know of the Prompty, like the way you just showed me now. The Aspire, I've never come across the Aspire, or I have heard it, but to see it in action and see how much value it brings to existing project just makes a lot of sense to me now. So I really appreciate this.
Hey, yes, and I really appreciate the feedback, and I really appreciate that we get all of the points together. And I also wanted to close with something else besides the eShop, because the eShop is kind of a showcase of what we can do, adding Aspire, Semantic Kernel. But the TrafficJam is a bigger scenario. It's a real scenario. It's an open source scenario. All of the resources are going to be available to download and to check later. And hey, I really, really like it. And I just want to close. Let me go here with the close slide, saying thanks to everyone who are here. Really, I hope that you enjoy all day. This is a day created for you as students learning net and learning more. We have tons of sessions, and a biggest thanks to my friend Ola. It's been a while since we chat, and I am super happy to be with you here, my friend.
Personally, it's a learning process, and I'm a Learn Student Ambassador, and this session also helps me to learn and see in action. Like you mentioned, one of the best ways to actually learn is to see. For me, when I see it being done, it just creates that possibility is possible. And I have to just go back to resources. Then that will lead me to my next question for you. If I want to pick up these things today, what are the resources? Where will you point me to build on top of what we have done here today?
We are literally sharing everything right now in the chat and in the main pages, and everything that we have in the .NET Conf for student zones, where you can download the eShop sample, the traffic camera sample, and more stuff. So, hey, great question, Ola.
I'm sure I'm asking this question for as many others who are watching right now. That, hey, Bruno, this is amazing. Where should I start from? Give me the link and I will go right there. I'm happy. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, there they are. There they are. And hey, once again, it's a pleasure to be here. Please, everyone, enjoy the rest of the day. And hola, see you next one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.